10 years ago, the amount of knowledge you had was considerably less than it is today. Even 1 year ago, it might be the case if you are serious with, improving your life in general. 20 years ago, even more so. Maybe 20 years ago, you didn't even exist. Having this in mind, the amount of evolution we went through the past 10, 20, who knows how many years, we can just get a grasp of the amount of evolution we will go through in the next 20 or 10 or 5, even 1 year. Let's take it a bit further. Let's go ahead in the science fiction realm and imagine we were able to live 200 years, 500 years. If we were able to live for that long, we would figure out every single problem of life. Because as you grow older and older, you become wiser and wiser, and you understand more and more of what's going on through life, more about yourself, more about the world, human interactions, how people tend to behave, how to raise your children, how to deal with situations when you tend to get angry, how to overcome anxiety, how to maybe eat intuitively so you don't have to track your calories and still be a healthy human. If you lived for 500 years, you would figure out absolutely everything. But our lives are shorter than that, obviously. We could only learn so much in this lifespan, in this period of time we have. This introspection for me started from a video that I watched about the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon by Corey Wilkes. The idea of this phenomenon is that every single day we interact with a huge amount of data, and our brain is unable to process everything. This is a necessary mechanism for our brain because otherwise we would just fry our brains, right? Our brain is unable to process such a huge amount of data. But a clear evidence of this is, for example, if you focus on a jeep, if you focus on spotting jeeps in the traffic, you will spot a lot more jeeps than previously because your mind is just focused on that. Your mind is concentrated on finding jeeps subconsciously, right? Because you don't even have to think about it when you are walking down the street. You just automatically spot the jeeps. And this is the reason, basically, because our mind tends to filter out most of the data it encounters. And having that said, and then also having in mind the premise that if we lived for 500 years, we would figure everything out, then it means every single answer to every single life situation, life issue of ours is already in front of us. We just have to get the skill or to get lucky enough to spot it. How could we enhance? How could we develop this skill of spotting the answers that are laid in front of us? I believe that for starters, it's important to set the intention, to set your mind to achieve that goal, which is, let's say, maybe for you, making money or losing weight or whatever. And the answers tend to come naturally. But then also being open-minded, because we have a bias. We have a bias towards believing the things that we already kind of believe. And that's the expectation bias, because we always want our beliefs to be reinforced if we are attached to our beliefs. But if you approach the world, if you approach your life with an open mind, then this issue dissipates because you are able to absorb much more input, much more data, and actually consider it, because every single day there is a ton of data about your current problem that interacts with you. Like, you interact with that data a lot, and you automatically disregard a part of it. But if you had this mind frame of actually considering it and thinking that maybe it would help me, like, let's see if this premise works, you might find that some of them really work. Although you didn't want to believe them, sometimes it's useful to do the things we want to do the least. That's a sign right there that maybe we should actually do them, because our brain tends to get us through comfortable situations all the time. And oftentimes, progress and gold lies in the uncomfortable. To wrap this all up, these are basically the two steps. The first one is to go ahead and set the intention for you to make the progress in a certain domain. Set the specific goal. And how do you set the goal? Just think about this. Take a moment without any stimulation, in peace, just by yourself, and try to speak to your brain in third person and tell your brain, okay, let's focus on this right now, okay? Please help me. You have a creative mechanism, by the way. You could read the book Psycho-Cybernetics if you want, and it explains all about your creative mechanism and basically how, if you set an intention, right, if you want to make the progress, you could say that you set the intention to the universe, but that's pretty woo-woo for me. So you could just set the intention to yourself, and then your brain will automatically create ideas, because we are creative beings. And then after you have your intention set, what you could do is live with an open mind and get into the habit of considering other opinions, spotting the bias that you have towards disregarding a certain opinion, and then just forcing yourself to analyze it again, to try to see the situation more objectively. Why do I tend to ignore this situation? Maybe there is some benefit in here, but it might be a bit uncomfortable, a bit more painful. But there is value in it for sure. That's all I had to say in this video. Hopefully you found it interesting, and I really hope you will be able to find some value in my guidance.